I love this next chapter on dealing with dominance because it's one of the things that we struggle with the most. When we believe we're really dealing with a dominant personality, we feel like we, have no choices. And that can put us into one of the three ego reactions. And I call them the three musketeers of the ego, which is the grandiose ego, where we want to come in and we want to, muscle up and meet them right there, and we get into this power and control struggle. Or we get in the underbelly of the ego and we're like, talk to the hand. I'm not going to try to muscle up to that, but I'm going to go underground. And I'm going to be what they call passive aggressive. So I'll get my way and what I want, but I'm going to do it in a real passive and manipulative sort of way. So we do things like gaslighting, or we say yes when we really mean no, or we say I'll try. We do all these things, which I list in the book, and you've got a list of those things. But they're the more what I would call covert controlling behaviors versus the overt control when we muscle up and we try to have control. And as women, we often point our finger at that more grandiose ego. We call it narcissism when we see somebody, this is how I want things and this is how we ought to have it. But we can be kind of masters at being like, yeah, you think so? Not so much. Both ends of that spectrum are about control. And they're both level 2 consciousness. Fear that we're not going to get our way, self-doubt about it, and judgments, that whole limited belief of how to create a win-win. So first of all, take a look at those covert controlling behaviors, that list, and rate yourself from 1 to 10. Get honest, because again, the way we shift is by taking what's unconscious, level 1 unconsciousness, noticing our fear, self-doubt, and judgment, and how it shows up, and then becoming self-aware. Putting it on the big screen TV in our mind and turning up the volume and really seeing that behavior and not pushing it away and denying it, but just noticing it. So when it shows up in the future, we can be like, oh yeah, that's my ego reacting. That's me again when I got that gut alert and I didn't slow down and breathe into it. I didn't tune into it. I didn't observe it. It went to the amygdala, and there's my automatic reaction. And whether you tend to react into that more grandiose ego where you pull your bootstraps up and you muscle up and you're trying to control things overtly, or you tend towards more that underbelly of the ego and you're more covert, it doesn't matter. Both are the same. They're both operating out of that level 2 consciousness, fear, self-doubt, and judgment. And why don't we want to do that? Well, number one, it's not good for us to be in that sympathetic nervous system and that fight flight all the time. So that dis-ease can lead to disease, high blood pressure, and a whole bunch of other things, certainly sleepless nights. But more so, it erodes our confidence. Fear erodes our confidence. So the third option is our ego strength. And again, our ego strength occurs when we notice the stimulus out here. And in this case, it's the big bear, the big dominance, the thing we think is going to eat us alive, the thing where we think we are powerless to this stimulus. And we've all had that. Again, we're the oppressed gender if we're a woman. And there's certain signals that tell us, ooh, this dominance is bigger than me. Could be a tone of voice, could be something stern, could be demanding something, could be just the authority because somebody's paying our paycheck. And we give our power away to that because, again, in our mind, we have limited thinking in terms of our own opportunities. So to have ego strength means we notice that ping in the gut. Whatever that is out here, when we get that gut alert, and trust your gut, that it's out of alignment, This is when, again, we need to bring that into our consciousness and raise that level of consciousness so we can step in, not with our grandiose ego, not with our underbelly of our ego, but our ego strength. And saying, I got this. Detaching from that old storyline and asking our intuitive to join us, to say, how might I speak to this person in a way where I am considering what they have to say and I am speaking up in terms of what I have to say. And we're co-creating to a positive outcome. And we're able to think about possibilities, to step into that differently. But when we really continue to slow down and breathe and tune in to the emotions and the possibilities and get beyond that and really observe what's happening, become so present. They've seen that on brain scans that first lobe, the temporal lobe, and that second lobe, that frontal lobe, darken. And this third lobe, the parietal lobe, where intuition is, lights up. They could see on a brain scan when somebody gets enlightened because they've taken that gut alert and they brought it up the vagus nerve, noticing the emotions, noticing the limited possibilities. That's all level 2 consciousness. And then detaching and simply getting curious to listen to intuition, to give them an answer. And when enlightenment occurs, the parietal lobe lightens up. This is science that's telling us that. And this is, again, what women need in order to get past this unconscious imprint of oppression. We want diversity. We want equity. If we want inclusion and we want belonging, we need to stop blaming them for their dominance and instead step in with our ego strength. And that is how we do it. So whether you're applying this situation in your leadership, maybe there's some dominant person who's either a coworker or a boss, and you feel you can't advance because of that oppression, take a look at your part of that Velcro effect. And what if you shifted that and raised your level of consciousness and stepped into your ego strength? What would occur? We really are much more powerful than we think we are when we pay attention and trust our gut. Something's out of alignment. And yeah, there's a dominant force out here that's really pushing for what they want, but how am I stepping in to that dynamic in a completely different way?